But first, we head to our Dave Spencer, who's live with the Incumbents team in Grand Rapids. Dave.
That's right, Anne-Marie. I'm here at GP Sports inside the Amway Grand Hotel, where, as you mentioned, Brian Ellis has conceded, but we are yet to hear from the incumbent, Justin Amash himself, obviously waiting to make sure that the totals are as what we expected here. He's been held up in the corner there watching the results unfold on his computer, and the fans here, the people, the supporters, the volunteers, all the people that have gathered here, they were first notified by watching the Fox 17 broadcast. As you mentioned, at 10:30, we cut in with the concession speech of Brian Ellis. That's when things kind of kicked up a notch in terms of a party atmosphere here at the watch party. But still, we haven't heard any word yet from Justin Amash. I guess he wants to go one-on-one and greet and meet his supporters, the people that have been there through all the months. That's why this has been dubbed as a private party. We weren't allowed in until just before the broadcast at 10, and not able to talk with very many people here as we're trying to get word of when he's going to address the race itself and talk about that concession speech that Brian Ellis gave just minutes ago. For more on that, let's throw it on down the street to Josh Sidorowitz, who's live at Grand Rapids Brewing Company with Brian Ellis in his camp. Josh?
Christian, Sarah Best sells supplies, religious supplies for personal altar ceremonies or rituals, including witchcraft, voodoo, and other spiritual services. Recently, sales stopped, and she says it's unclear why.
I provide spiritual supplies for African diaspora religions.
For 6 years, Sarah Best has catered to a very specific clientele.
Any religions that would have come here during the slave trade, any of those traditions or beliefs.
She understands her business is not for everyone, and what she sells may not be understood by most. But she never thought it would lead to her credit card processing company to end their business partnership just months after signing a contract.
And he said, this is First Data, and we are terminating your account because we do not provide service to sites affiliated with voodoo.
That call came at the end of July.
I was appalled and upset. I mean, I felt terrible. I felt discriminated against.
She called back a number of times since then and was told it was just a rogue employee acting on personal beliefs.
All of them assuring me that they do not make phone calls like that they would never say something like that, and that it must have been a scam or a crank phone call.
Weeks later, her business hit a snag with First Data.
It's like the credit cards are still being processed, but they're not going into my account. So they're still taking my money for these credit card sales. It's just not going into my bank account any longer. Wow.
$600 in limbo, she says. The next day, she got a letter from First Data informing her the partnership was terminated due to contract violations, but never specified what the violation was, although Best has a hunch.
And I would hate for someone else to be denied service because of their cultural traditions or beliefs.
So again, Best reached out to the company and was told by a manager they will look into the situation. She still says she never got an answer to the specific contract violation. But as far as she's concerned,
I definitely want the money that they're withholding. And after that, I mean, I want nothing to do with the business whatsoever.
We contacted First Data ourselves, providing them with her merchant ID as requested. We're still awaiting their response to this situation. And Sarah Best says she's moved on. She's signed with another credit card processing company, even explaining to the new company what she sells so she doesn't encounter a problem like this going forward with that new company.
Well, it's a good thing she called you instead of getting one of those pin dolls.
That's true, yeah. I'm here to help.
How much money is she out?
She's out $600, and what she's trying to do is she reached out to that company, as I mentioned there, and she was told she has 48 hours until they hear a response. That was a day ago. So in 24 hours, we might know an answer, and if we do, we'll be sure to pass that on.
All right, perfect.
Yes.
Dave, thanks for that.
Yep. Anne-Marie, things went from uneventful to highly unusual in just a matter of minutes here. After about a 2-hour closed session in which they were deciding the fate of the police chief of Barre Township, they came out and announced that the chief was resigning on his own accord. And then what happened after that was anything but your typical meeting.
Therefore, effective immediately, I'm resigning my position as chief of police of the township of Barre.
An attorney on behalf of Police Chief Victor Pierce told the public the decision to resign was based on his diminished ability to be a leader in the community due to the controversy, which all started with allegations that the township has too many reserve officers who tend to abuse their power. It stems from an incident back in May where a bar owner claimed police used excessive force after they caught him urinating next to his business. He was later cleared by MSP. After that, the board accepted his resignation. Part of the crowd emptied into the parking lot where we were told someone was yelling at the chief as he drove away from the meeting. Back inside, the public was given a chance to speak on the decision. Some chose to let a song describe how they were feeling.
You can use your 3 minutes any way you
That's
want.
my 3 minutes. There's only 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
The divide within this small community clearly remains as they now must move forward with trying to find a new chief. A lot of uncertain times right now. We don't know who the police chief's going to be. We were told that that process will start tomorrow. Are you concerned at all for the future?
Yeah, I am. We put together some kind of board here, a police oversight board to control what's going on at the police department. I mean,
I don't know who they're going to get to replace him. Have no idea.
A lot of
I
uncertain
mean,
times ahead.
he was, as far as I was concerned, he was doing a good job.
All of us are emotional, one way or the other. It has affected all of us.
And that last comment there was the only comment made by the board. We were told there's a gag order in place that they can't talk about this matter any further. As for this township we're talking about, they only have 4 full-time officers, 4 part-time officers, and at the time they had roughly more than 30 reserve officers. We're told that reserve program has been suspended back in July. As for the new police chief, they'll start that search, we're told, tomorrow. Live in Barry County tonight, Dave Spencer, Fox 17 News. A man from Barry County still haunted by a crime that happened more than 40 years ago. His wife was raped and murdered in 1970. The person responsible caught and convicted. But somehow along the way, he lost track of the killer. Now this husband can't get over the fact that he doesn't know what happened to the man who murdered his wife.
That was her senior picture.
They are pictures that haven't been seen in years.
She was my high school sweetheart.
They tell the story of Shirley Woods and his wife, Kathy.
September '68.
Just 2 years later, however,
The world fell apart. The day before Thanksgiving.
Kathy never showed up for work.
Went home, found her laying on the floor, and a floor full of blood in the bedroom.
The crime took months to solve and led to a conviction for second-degree murder.
This Robert J. Brown saw her evidently combing her hair, getting ready in the window of the bedroom.
Robert Brown was sent to prison. Woods thought he was gone for good. But then rumors that Brown was out, paroled early, started to consume him.
And in between that time, I think sometime in there I had a nervous breakdown. Went in the hospital and I came out and started counseling up here at Barry County.
Try as he could, he is still unable to find out what happened to the man that was convicted of his wife's death.
I get depressed. I get so worked up. I have to let it go. I just shut down.
A problem that likely wouldn't have happened if the crime was committed today. In 1987, Michigan passed a law requiring the state to notify victims of any change in the status regarding a convict. Woods says at this point, he just wants to stop wondering what happened to the man that had taken one life and ruined another.
There's nowhere else to go. You know, that's the last page of the chapter.
We have reached out to the Barry County prosecutor who says she's willing to help Woods track down Robert Brown and hopefully bring the closure that he's seeking.